Why does God allow pain and suffering? Number 3, demonic oppression / possession. Now, for some, this may be a laughable point, but for those who have actually experienced it, they know that there's something greater than themselves and some beings that are much more powerful than us humans that many of us probably don't interact with too often, hopefully, in the negative senses. But demonic oppression or possession, I don't necessarily, in my experience in the mental health field, I don't associate every case of illness, whether mental or medically, I don't associate every illness with demonic oppression or possession. But there are cases where people are and have been sick because of things that have been introduced into their lives, spiritually, supernaturally. And those spirits, those beings are malevolent. They don't have a person's best interest in mind. And so when we come to people that we might know, of course, we will never name names on here unless they give us permission to. But if there are people that we know that have been spiritually oppressed, we can see that many diseases are imitated, and many times doctors cannot find what the root cause of the illness is, and it's because it is not an illness that stems from something going on in our body, but something that is going on supernaturally. When you go back and you watch documentaries or you hear the stories of people that have been in movies such as The Exorcist or The Exorcism of Emily Rose or any type of movie to those effects, many times those who have been in those movies have been oppressed by those same spirits that were being incorporated into the movies, and they were never the same once they were done making that movie, and even in the process of making that movie. Many times actors, and you can do the research yourself, will channel a spirit that is, many times they think is a person if they're playing a particular person, or they're channeling a spirit that will help them to play a role better and to get into character so that way they can portray that role better. One person who, although not oppressed but has openly talked about dealing with spirits, is the ex-Patriot quarterback Tom Brady, and how his wife channels spirits and talks to spirits. And you can look stuff up on YouTube and on the internet, and you can read about many Hollywood actors who have been channelers for spirits, and sometimes, many times, have been oppressed by spirits as well. And this can manifest in what seems to be mental illness, in hearing voices and things like that, as well as I personally have known people who were oppressed by spirits that they had allowed into their lives by partaking of the wrong things. And so we see the same thing happen in the Bible, where a woman who had been oppressed by a spirit of infirmity or sickness, where she was bent over by a spirit, and she was not able to stand upright for, I think it said, about 18 years. And Jesus Christ, he is healing people on what is the Sabbath or Shabbat. And the religious leaders who want to stick to their traditions tell Jesus, or tell the crowd rather, don't come to be healed on the Sabbath. But Jesus points out that it was a spirit that was causing her to be bent over to where she could not stand straight up, and that Jesus Christ, by his authority as God revealed in humanity, he cast the spirit out of her and off of her and removed the oppression. In another story about a demoniac, you can find it in the Gospels, the first 3 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Specifically in the Gospel of Mark chapter 5, we read about Jesus and his disciples going to a place called Gadara, and there is 2 demoniacs, and one in particular is very prominent. And it says he was possessed by a legion of demons, which can be thousands of demons. And it says that he would cut himself, and people would try to bind him with chains and stocks. And the demons within him were so powerful that they would break off the chains, and that no one could tame him or hold him, and that he would be amongst the tombs howling and, like I said, cutting himself. And so we see that while for some in our day we might say, well, this is a case of mental illness, which may be very well in some cases, but in some cases mental or demonic oppression and possession may be the source of why or what is going on when it comes to pain and suffering, which all comes back down to the choice of what we have partaken of and allowed in our lives.